Russian President Vladimir Putin has fundamentally altered the rules of nuclear engagement. This dramatic shift in military doctrine, coming on the 1,000th day of the Ukraine conflict, represents a stark escalation in international tensions in a direct response to Washington's decision to allow Ukrainian strikes inside Russia.
The stakes are rising. The threat of nuclear conflict looms larger. Vladimir Putin fine-tunes Russia's nuclear doctrine. The West is put on notice. Russia's new doctrine expands nuclear response scenarios beyond traditional boundaries. Moscow says that it is being forced to do so due to hostile actions from the West. A large-scale conventional attack, drone strikes, or threats to Russian sovereignty could now trigger a nuclear response. More ominously, an attack by any member of a Western coalition would be considered aggression from the entire group. The implications are profound. Russia has been conducting large-scale nuclear drills. One of them were conducted immediately after Paris said it is open to deploying French troops on the Ukrainian battlefield. This time, Putin has lowered the nuclear threshold a day after the Biden administration allowed Ukraine to fire American missiles on Russian territory. Another big red line has been breached. The Kremlin's message is clear. Retaliation is not just possible, it's inevitable. Moscow's move aligns with broader preparations, including mass production of bomb shelters designed to withstand radiation, shock waves, and fire. These mobile Cub-M shelters deployed across Russia's permafrost regions highlight a defensive pivot amid growing global tensions. Satellite imagery also reveals expanded facilities for solid fuel missile production across Russia, signaling an increase in its missile arsenal. The missile sites are in the Altai Republic in Siberia, Rostov in southern Russia, outside Moscow and St. Petersburg, and in Perm in western Russia. The revision to the rules guiding the firing of weapons of mass destruction aim to bolster the credibility of Russian threats as the conflict with Ukraine grinds on with no end in sight. Together, Russia and the US control nearly 90% of the world's nuclear weapons, underscoring the high stakes of any miscalculation. Bureau Report, WION The World is One.
Well, at the G20 Leaders Summit in Brazil, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov represented President Vladimir Putin. In his address to the media, Lavrov asserted that Moscow will do everything possible to prevent the breakout of nuclear war. He further claimed that Russia's nuclear weapons will act as a deterrent to nuclear war. We earlier spoke to Gabriel Noronha, who is a former special advisor for Iran at the U.S. State Department under Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and he's also the executive director of Polaris National Security, and this is what he told us.
This war is at a turning point right now. Both sides are trying to increase their leverage for the negotiations that are expected to take place once President Trump gets into office 2 months from now. And the other thing we've seen now is the Biden administration is finally freed from its own nervousness about its own election, and so is willing to do a bit more to give Ukraine leverage. I think the other thing that we're missing here is the introduction of North Korean troops here. Now it is two nations fighting Ukraine on Ukrainian territory. And so the idea that the United States should simply stand by and ignore that as North Korean troops and now Iranian weapons are fighting in is a little naive. And so I think what we're going to see is both sides have to kind of fight to the table. They have to increase tensions and increase leverage so that both sides want to have a resolution and ultimately get to a ceasefire in the coming months.